In a whirlwind of drama, Gypsy Rose has once again taken center stage, this time with her highly publicized decision to step away from social media. At first glance, the announcement seemed heartfelt. She'd claimed concerns over cyberbullying and her mental well-being, all for the sake of her unborn child. It was presented as a selfless act of self-care, garnering initial sympathy. Admirable, right? Well, not so fast. The truth, as it turns out, paints a far less noble picture. Sources have revealed that Gypsy didn't voluntarily step back from social media. She was forced to retreat after her parole officer stepped in. Apparently, she was neck-deep in violations, misusing social media platforms to an extent that her infractions were piling up faster than her excuses. One local content creator even went as far as reporting her for allegedly using her platform to intimidate and harass others. Not exactly the low-profile approach she claimed to be aiming for.
Well, Gypsy Rose is back up in the comments to talk about a creator. And this is after Parole allegedly advised she stay off of social media, mainly TikTok. And this comes after a big exiting post on TikTok citing her mental health and her mental well-being.
Despite being advised by her parole officer to stay off social media, particularly TikTok, Gypsy has been spotted lurking in the comments and subtly re-engaging with creators online. This defiance followed her big exit post on TikTok, where she cited mental health and well-being as the reasons for stepping away. Instead of owning up to the situation, she spun an elaborate sob story filled with tearful explanations and dramatic declarations. It all seemed like an overly orchestrated attempt to shift the narrative away from the real issue, her ongoing trouble with parole.
Rose is leaving social media, guys. She says that she's taking a break. She's not going to be posting about her personal and private matters any longer. Honestly, I think that's for the best, especially right now. I mean, every time she opens her mouth, she gets herself in trouble. Just zip it, and I think you'll be okay. You just take a break and take responsibility for your actions and stop blaming people for your mistakes and own up to it. And I mean, that's all you gotta do, and the public will forgive you. You just have to own up to it.
And oh, the lengths she went to were nothing short of theatrical. Gypsy didn't just step back for her mental health. She crafted a detailed cover-up to mask the real reason for her absence. This wasn't about self-care. It was about damage control, pure and simple. For someone who's made a habit of using drama to cover her tracks, this move was textbook Gypsy. Whenever she's in hot water, whether it's with the law or public backlash, she's perfected the art of creating chaos to divert attention. Take the recent rumors of her breakup with Ken, for example. These rumors conveniently began circulating just as her social media violations started catching up with her.
I am loving her Midnights era right now. I'm loving it. Karma has been like my #1 on my playlist.
Shocking. Shocking.
Coincidence? Highly unlikely. Gypsy knows how to play the game. Breakup drama is juicy, it gets people talking, and it conveniently shifts the spotlight away from her mistakes. Add in speculation about paternity tests, surprise baby shower pics, and boom, the perfect recipe for distraction. But here's the catch. Gypsy's tactics, while bold, are starting to feel a little too predictable. Every time there's a serious issue, whether it's legal trouble or public criticism, she pulls out a new scandal or controversy to keep people guessing. It's as if she's working from a playbook titled, How to Keep the Public Distracted 101. However, the cracks in her strategy are beginning to show. The more drama she stirs, the more obvious it becomes that she's desperately trying to shift focus away from her actions. What's worse is that this constant cycle of distractions does more than just redirect attention. It dilutes the severity of her missteps. Instead of taking accountability, Gypsy keeps feeding the public a steady diet of AI-generated baby images, manufactured feuds, and emotionally charged stunts. It's manipulative, plain and simple. While this approach may have worked in the past, the public is starting to see through the facade. As Gypsy navigates her so-called midnight era, it's clear she's playing a high-stakes game of deflection. But with the public growing less gullible and more aware of her patterns, the question remains, how long can she keep the drama going before it all comes crashing down? For now, we can only sit back, watch the chaos unfold, and enjoy the soundtrack to her theatrics, because let's be honest, it's hard not to be entertained by the sheer audacity of it all. The more people catch on to Gypsy's pattern, the clearer it becomes that her claims of stepping away from social media for mental health are nothing more than a calculated PR ploy. Let's call it what it is, pure spin. Gypsy wasn't leaving to protect her peace or focus on her family. She was forced off the platforms after her parole officer finally stepped in. The fact that she tried to frame it as some selfless, noble act, that's manipulation 101. Here's the real story. Gypsy's parole comes with strict conditions, including significant restrictions on her social media activity. These rules aren't just about stopping her from posting baby pics or sharing TikTok trends. They're there to prevent her from falling back into the toxic behaviors that contributed to her past crimes. But Gypsy, being Gypsy, couldn't resist. She used her platform to clap back at critics, engage in petty feuds, and allegedly even intimidate others. It's like she just can't stay out of the mix, no matter how high the stakes.
So her parole officer advises her to stay off. So what does she do? She creeps in the comments and has the audacity to speak on what a good role model is. You don't get to be a part of that conversation. Nobody forgot what you did. Once you commit murder, you don't get to speak on it. The fact that Gypsy Rose is not only allowed to be on social media, but the internet as a whole is just baffling.
When her parole officer advised her to step back, what did Gypsy do? Did she take accountability? Of course not! She crept back into the comments and had the audacity to lecture people about being a good role model. Really? Gypsy Rose giving advice on role modeling? That's rich, especially when you consider her history. Nobody's forgotten her crime. And let's be real, once you've committed murder, you don't get to reclaim the moral high ground. What's even more mind-boggling is that Gypsy is still allowed on the internet at all. Her access to social media feels like a loophole in her parole, and she's been exploiting it to the fullest. But the real kicker is how she tried to frame her departure as her own proactive decision. She staged an emotional announcement, blamed cyberbullying, and claimed she was prioritizing her mental health. Sounds convincing until you ask the obvious question, why now? Why not step back during any of the countless controversies she's faced in the past? The timing says it all. She didn't have a choice. Even after being told to limit her social media use to strictly business purposes, Gypsy couldn't help herself. She found loopholes. Using friends' accounts to air her grievances and keep her drama alive, she continued waging petty comment wars and inserting herself into online conflicts, refusing to relinquish control of the narrative.
Well, Gypsy Rose is back up in the comments to talk about a creator. And this is after parole allegedly advised she stay off of social media, mainly TikTok. And this comes after a big exiting post on TikTok citing her mental health and her mental well-being. Aubrey Strawberry 2.0 writes, "This needs to be remembered next time we talk about who should or shouldn't be influencing young girls." Gypsy Rose chimes in, exactly. Young girls should be influenced by strong, empowered women who show a positive attitude and compassionate heart. That is a role model, and that will never be Nina.
And then there's the incident with Ivory Rose, a dark and chilling reminder of the lengths Gypsy is willing to go to silence her critics. Ivory Rose, a local content creator, had been sharing unflattering truths about Gypsy, questioning the carefully curated image Gypsy tries to present. Instead of ignoring the criticism, Gypsy allegedly escalated the situation in a way that feels disturbingly reminiscent of her past behavior.
You essentially did was do the same thing that you complained that other people did to you, you're doing to me. You only coming after me. Why? Because of my post today that I posted this morning about finally getting in touch with parole, and then a few hours later you make that video to try and make it look like I'm unhinged, on rugs. Like, girl, have you not looked at your page? And what you're doing is gaslighting. Y'all know what y'all did. You know that shit's fucking, I mean, come on, who wouldn't be fucking freaked out and scared and upset about it?
According to reports, Gypsy didn't just clap back online. She involved a friend, identified as Drogi, who reportedly threatened Ivory with a weapon. Let that sink in. This wasn't just petty internet drama, this was outright intimidation. And if that wasn't alarming enough, Gypsy allegedly took things further by driving past Ivory's workplace with another friend, Bree. This wasn't a coincidence or an innocent drive-by. Ivory hadn't publicly disclosed her location, yet Gypsy somehow knew exactly where she worked.
She's saying something about riding by her job. All you did was Like, you just know where her job is, and you pass by it and you said.
I've seen her work because she wears her work shirt like an idiot on lives. And when me and Gypsy went somewhere and we were driving past, it's like, oh my God, that's the place that's on, you know, Woo Woo shirt.
Right.
About them looking for my address. That was, come on now. Like, everybody's seen and heard. A lot of people messaged me about this girl. So, there you go.
The whole situation feels calculated and downright terrifying. It's not just about silencing a critic, it's about sending a message, and that message is deeply unsettling. If Gypsy's past has taught us anything, it's that she knows how to play the long game, but the cracks in her facade are starting to show. How many more people will she target before someone finally holds her accountable for the dangerous patterns she continues to repeat? The most unsettling part of this saga, though, might just be Gypsy's own words during a recent live session. Addressing the ongoing situation, she reportedly said, "I won't always be on parole." At first glance, this might seem like an offhand comment, but given her history, it feels more like a thinly veiled threat. Words like these carry weight, especially coming from someone with her past, and anyone paying attention has every reason to feel uneasy. To her credit, Ivory Rose didn't let these incidents slide. She took action, reporting Gypsy's behavior to her parole officer and backing it up with evidence of the threats and harassment. Honestly, good for her. Gypsy's actions didn't just cross the line, they obliterated it. Someone needed to hold her accountable, and Ivory was brave enough to step up. This entire situation is yet another glaring example of a troubling pattern that's impossible to ignore. Gypsy has a long history of using manipulation and intimidation to get her way, whether it's convincing Nicholas Godejohn to commit a horrific crime or enlisting friends to target her critics. The tactics remain disturbingly consistent.
In touch with the parole officer, actually the person that's taking the calls, okay? So I'm supposed to be receiving a call back from the parole officer. Just we'll see what happens. But they are well informed now. I'll keep y'all updated. Have a good day, Bess.
The fact that she continues to engage in this kind of behavior, even after everything that's happened, is a major red flag. Gypsy Rose's recent actions aren't just slip-ups or lapses in judgment. They're deliberate choices that reveal a complete disregard for accountability. From spinning drama to distract the public, to fabricating reasons for stepping back from social media, to targeting critics like Ivory Rose, Gypsy keeps falling back on manipulation as her weapon of choice. While she might think she's fooling everyone, the cracks in her facade are becoming impossible to ignore. So, what do you think, loves? Does Gypsy's behavior prove that she hasn't truly changed, or is there another layer to this story we're missing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into stories like this one. Until next time, stay curious.